Hi, and welcome to Crafts with Ash DIY and Decor. My name's Ashley, and today I am bringing you 6 amazing Nightmare Before Christmas DIYs. These have got to be some of my favorite DIYs I have ever made, so stay tuned. Real quick, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button if you love what you see today. All right, DIY number 1. I'm starting off with this soap that I got from the Dollar Tree, and you definitely want to make sure that you get this shape, and you're going to see why in a minute. Now, the first thing you want to do is take off the labels on both sides. This is going to be a 2-part DIY. So on the one side, I took my light mocha apple barrel paint, and I am going to paint the whole front side with this. Now, when you turn it to the side, there's like a seam there, and so I just painted up to the seam, but I gave this about 2 coats of that light mocha. Next, I took a pencil. Now, I am not good at freehand painting, so you're going to see that I pencil things out. And I just want to preface this whole video, I am not an artist. I am not a painter. I'm not a person that draws. So if I can do these DIYs, so can you. All right, so if you have not figured it out, we're making the mayor. So I am looking at a picture as I'm drawing this. So I did like the big squiggly, or like, I don't know, crazy eye, and then a circle eye for the other one, a triangle for the nose, and then the mouth. So again, just reference a photo. It's so easy. I had my laptop in front of me and I was just looking at it as I was drawing. So now I'm going to take a permanent marker and just outline everything that I drew on this side with the pencil. I'm going to outline everything but the mouth. So I'm going to also color in this big circle eye. Now, it was supposed to be a circle, but the paint, I don't know, is like sticking up or something, which is why it's that weird shape. But hey, it just makes it even more spooky and creepy. Then I'm going to go ahead and color in the nose. Now, you can definitely use paint for this. I just decided to go with a marker because I just thought it'd be easier. All right, so now I'm going to take some white paint and I am going to paint the whole mouth. And I am going to go and do details to this once it's all painted, but first I need to give this a base coat of the white, and I think I did like 2 or 3 coats. If you hear loud children in the background, that's because my husband's getting all riled up before bed. I don't know, they're having a fun time. All right, so then for that little eyeball, I just took the back of my paintbrush and I just put a dot. Now I'm going to take a fine point Sharpie, and now we're going to make like the teeth marks. So I'm going to just make like a half moon shape. This might be a little hard for me to explain, but you can see what I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to connect them in the corners, and then I am going to color that middle part in. Now I do go through and I do outline the mouth with this marker, but then I go back with like a little fatter marker and do that because I thought it made it look a little bit more animated, like Nightmare Before Christmas. So you're going to have to let me know down in the comments, are you a Nightmare Before Christmas fan? My 6-year-old, when she was about 3, went through a huge Nightmare Before Christmas phase. Everything was all about Zero and Sally, and she was going to marry Jack and everything. So we have a ton of stuff, but I am making all this decor for my guest bathroom. So that's why I have the soap here. And then I will just incorporate other things that we've collected over the years in that bathroom as well. This is the first time I'm decorating the guest bathroom for Halloween in general, but definitely for Nightmare Before Christmas, so I needed to get some stuff. So I thought, hey, why not DIY it? But let me know down in the comments if you are an NBC fan or what your favorite Halloween movie is. All right, so as you saw there, I just made some lines to create the teeth to make it look like his mouth is open. I am going to just color in the middle part here. And this is the fatter marker I was talking about, and I just think that just, you know, using this just kind of makes it look a little bit more animated. And then I'm going to put some little marks underneath the mouth, and that's it for this side, and then we're going to turn it around, and the mayor, you know, is two-faced, so we're going to go ahead and do the other side. So on the other side, it did have this writing, so what I did was just take some Waverly chalk paint in white, and I went ahead and painted over it. And then I'm going to take my blue color. I think this is Peacock. I don't know. I just grabbed it, not for any reason, because I'm going to mix it with white anyways. The other side of his face, this side, is like a light blue. Well, in some pictures it's white, and in some pictures it's light blue. I can't really tell if it's just a super light blue or white. But anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and create a color, and then just color or paint this side of the soap. And again, I'm going to stop at that seam there. Now to create the face, I'm just going to mix orange paint and yellow paint. And this is just regular acrylic paint. And you want it to be more yellowy than orange. So it's going to look like mustard right now. There we go. So for the eyes, I just drew 2 circles, and then I'm going to go ahead and take that paint and color them both in. Now, I did have to do several coats because it was a very light paint, but I just wanted to make sure that you couldn't really see the blue underneath. So for the nose, I am just going to draw out like a boomerang shape. And again, I'm just looking at a picture and copying whatever I see. So it is truly easy to do once you get started. And actually, it was really fun. I had a lot of fun painting all of these DIYs. Now, I'm just warning you, there is a lot of painting in these DIYs, but I promise you, and again, I'm not an artist, but I promise you these were easy. And like I said, I had fun with it. So just get creative. All right, so now I'm moving on to the mouth. I already drew out the shape, so then I'm going to go ahead and do what I did to the other mouth and just paint the inside of it. Now again, I outlined it with this fine point Sharpie, but you're going to see that I actually go back with the fatter one and outline it again. So in the photo, his teeth kind of looked like gross, like dirty. So I figured while I had that that yellow paint out, I'm just going to dry brush, or not even brush, but I'm just going to dab lightly some of that yellow paint in the mouth and then over the eyes as well. And I thought that that added a really creepy touch because his teeth are disgusting. So now I'm just going to take that fine point marker and I'm just going to make some zigzags, and this is going to create the teeth. Now, I had to go over it just to make them a little darker, but also my paint was not all the way dry. So you definitely want to make sure that your paint is dry before you start drawing. Now, then I moved up to the eyes, and I'm just simply going to make a smaller circle inside each of the yellow circles. And you want to make sure that those are colored in really dark as well. And then I'm just simply going to add some eyebrows. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of make this a little bit more creepy. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a very little amount of black paint on my brush. And I'm just going to dab all over the faces on both sides. Now, this is just to kind of make it a little bit more creepy and spooky, and I thought that that did the trick. Then I went ahead and took my marker, and I am just going to draw the line over the seams. Now, off camera, I did take the pump part out and I spray paint it in black paint, but you're just gonna have to hang on for a minute and you'll see the final reveal at the end. Hey, did you know that I have another YouTube channel? Well, I do. That channel is called Life with Ash, and it is a more behind-the-scenes vlog style channel all about real life. If you love all things home decor, room makeovers, room refreshers, home decorating, hauls, shopping, organizing, decluttering, cleaning, mama life, mama hacks, and everything in between, this is definitely the channel for you. Like I said, I keep it real, and this is a no judgment zone. I live in leggings, my hair is usually in a messy bun, my current scent is spit up and poop, and you'll hardly ever see me with makeup. So if you can relate to any of that, head on down to the description box for the link to my other channel, Life with Ash, and come hang out with me over there. Alrighty, moving on to DIY number 2, and this has got to be one of my favorites. So I picked up these 2 jars from the Dollar Tree. I've had them in my stash forever, and it doesn't matter what 2 jars, you just want to make sure that they have lids. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint both of these jars with my silver lining paint. Now, if you have a darker gray, like elephant gray, then you definitely want to use that instead. I just didn't, and I kind of went the lighter route, but you're going to see that I do actually darken it. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint both of these jars, including the lid, with 2 coats of that silver lining. After those are completely dry, I am going to paint a circle on one jar with my Iv'e chalk paint. Now, you kind of just have to see what jars you have to use, or canisters, or whatever. I mean, anything. Because as you can see there, I kind of just made my own little space to paint. But I did go ahead and give each of those surfaces 2 coats. Now, for the rest of this DIY, I'm just going to show you what I do with one, because then I do it to the other. But here's the fun part. Take your hot glue gun and just go crazy. Squigglies, spirals, just anything. But you want to make sure that you do this all over your jar, except for where you put that Iv'e chalk paint. Look how neat and 3D this is. So cool. All right, so now I'm going to take the darker paint and I'm going to mix it with black to make it even more darker. And then I'm just going to take one of my sponge brushes and just dab, dab, dab over my jars. Now you're going to see that I start off with a sponge brush, but then I actually move to an actual kitchen sponge, like a little part of it. But what you want to do is you want to cover the whole thing. So you want to get deep down on the actual glass itself too, and basically paint it. Now, to give it some texture, I did dab it, but we're going to do something else in just a minute. But I'm just going to go ahead and cover this whole thing and the other one with this mixture of darker gray paint. Again, except for the Iv'e parts that you painted. All right, now it's time to add that really fun texture. So you've probably seen this done 1,000 times. So what I'm going to do is add some silver lining gray paint in a cup. Now, normally people use baking soda. I did not have any, but I did have sand, and I've seen DIYers use sand before, and this worked out just fine. So it's kind of up to you to find the consistency. What you want is the consistency of cement. So just keep adding your paint. keep adding your sand and mixing it around. I did add a little drop of black paint just to make it a smidge darker, a smidge. Now, even though the sand is purple, you can't tell at all. So no worries there. Just use whatever you have. And then I'm going to make sure that it's mixed to the consistency of cement, or so at least it's grainy. Then I'm going to take my paintbrush and I am going to paint this time. I'm going to paint over both jars entirely again, except for the ivory part. Once my jars are dry, I'm going to take my fine point Sharpie, and on one of the jars, I'm going to write Worms Wart with some little squigglies. And again, I'm looking at a photo and I'm just copying what I see. And on the other one, I'm going to write Frog Breath. Now, normally I hate my own handwriting, and I would have absolutely used my Cricut. But on Sally's jars, which, by the way, did I mention that's what we're making? Sally's, like, potion jars or, or like, her little ingredients. On her jars, it looks handwritten, so that's the only reason why I chose to go ahead and handwrite it, because then it's kind of more authentic. But this part was so easy, and I just wrote it. I didn't think too much about it, and I just wrote the words. All right, now here's where I think these DIYs took a step up. I went ahead and got some metallic silver paint, and now I'm just going to take my sponge and dab, dab, dab this metallic paint all over my jars. And I think that this made these jars look so cool. I love how it looks. Look at that. And I can't wait till you see like what they actually look like at the final reveal, and I still don't even think the camera does it justice. I love how these came out. Now, I did want to give these an aged look, so I went ahead and took my Waverly Antique Wax, and I just did the same thing, but kind of just around the edges. I didn't really worry about the whole jar, but I also went ahead and did it around the ivory part as well, so that way it just looked a little aged. And then I very lightly went over the words in the ivory space too. I love how these came out. Like I said, these have got to be my favorite. My other favorite is the very last DIY, but I love them all, don't worry. And so yeah, I can't wait till you see even more. All right, DIY number 3, and this one is super easy. So I wanted to make an Oogie Boogie wreath. But then I happened to walk into Five Below and I saw this hat and I'm like, oh my gosh, that pretty much did everything for me. So we're just going to spruce it up a little bit. So all I'm going to do is take my hot glue and I'm going to hot glue the bottoms together, the ends. Then next, this came with this spider, but I just feel like we could kind of up it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off that green string. And then I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to hot glue it to the tip of this little hat, just where that green string was. Now, I went ahead and cut a hole, so you can see there's a hole there now. So now it's easier for me to go ahead and slide the twine into that hole and hot glue it in. Now, I did add some hot glue to the end of the twine to help me to kind of make it like a point. And then I just went ahead and stuck that in there and added some hot glue and then cut off the end. Then I'm going to take this spider ring that I've had in my stash. I'm going to cut the ring part off, and I'm just going to simply hot glue my spider onto the other end of this string. So now we just upgraded the little spider, and I think that that looks so much better than the felt one. Now, to make it more spooky and creepy, I just went into my stash and found any kind of critters I could, and this was literally all I have. I'm having a hard time finding these at the Dollar Tree. I know that Walmart and Spirit Halloween have them, so if you're looking for them, you can go ahead and pick them up. But I just already have these, so I'm just going to use what I have, and I'm just going to glue them into his mouth. And again, I'm going to use 2 of those spider rings, and I'm just going to cut off the ring part. And if I can find more, I actually might add more, because in the photo that I was referencing, or where I got the idea to do the wreath, he has like a ton of bugs like in his mouth. So if I can find more, I think I'm going to add them. But even still, I think this looks so cool, and it just adds that little creepy, spooky touch. So the last thing I need to do is add a hanger, because I am going to hang this on the wall in the bathroom. So I just used some twine to do that too. I just made a little loop, tied a knot, and added a ton of hot glue. And that was it to this project. It was so easy. Now you can absolutely get burlap and felt and make your own face, but hey, for $5, I went ahead and got it from Five Below. It was already done. It was so convenient because it saved a lot of time, and why not? You know, why not make things easier? But how cool and spooky does that look? All right, DIY number 4. I'm going to start off with this house, and this is like a standing house from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use my heat gun to take off this fabric and then that little chalkboard sign. Now, I wanted to take off the roof part too, and I was really trying to be easy with it, but they completely broke, so I'm gonna have to replace that, which is easy, no big deal. After I got everything off my house, I went ahead and sanded it down, then started painting this with that silver lining gray paint, but then forgot that I did want to add the roof back on. So I'm just taking 2 mini craft sticks, and I'm going to cut one part down to a point and then just hot glue these back on. And I am measuring both sides. I mean, not technically, but you know, just comparing both sides so they both fit, and a little hang off at the bottom. And then I'm going to continue to paint this entire thing with that silver lining chalk paint. Next, I'm going to take another one of those craft sticks. I'm going to cut off the rounded edges and then cut 2 pieces. Now, one piece is going to be a little shorter than the other because we are going to make a cross. So once I had my pieces cut down to the lengths that I want, I am going to go ahead and sand down the ends so they aren't so rough. And then I'm going to hot glue the 2 pieces together. Then I'm going to take my cross and I'm going to hot glue it to the back of the tippy top of the house. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint that with my silver lining paint as well. After all my paint is dry, I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to sketch out a big opening here. And then I'm going to take my black paint and give this 2 coats of that. Next, I'm going to take my pencil and I am going to draw out our poor little buddy Zero. If you haven't figured it out, we are making Zero's tombstone or headstone. Now, again, I'm referencing a picture. This is not perfect by any means. Again, I am not an artist. I cannot stress that enough. I am literally just following a photo. And just take your time with this. This is sped up, so just take your time and just get creative and do your best. So I'm just looking at the photo and recreating his little face, and I'm going to put eyes in there. And then there were like 2 bones at the bottom that were crisscross, so I'm going to go ahead and draw those as well. Next, to make it 3D, I am again going to take my hot glue, and it does help to have one of these smaller detailed hot glue guns, but I'm going to take my hot glue and outline what I drew, but I am actually going to color in the face, but not the eyes. So I'm going to leave the eyes open. Now, one thing I wish I would have done was let this first coat dry and then go over the picture with the hot glue again, so basically giving it 2 coats just to make it a little bit more 3D and fuller. I mean, it still turned out 3D, like you can definitely tell that it's sticking up, but I wish that I would have thought to go over it again with hot glue, but that's okay. So while my hot glue is drying, I'm going to take that cement mixture again, and I'm going to go ahead and paint my house, or tombstone rather, and give this about 2 coats. And I am kind of dabbing it too to make sure all that texture is in there. Now, as it dries, the texture becomes more obvious. So if you're not seeing results right away, don't worry, because you will as it starts to dry. Then after my hot glue dried, I'm just going to take that silver lining gray paint and I'm going to paint over the raised parts. Now, I'm going to show you a mess up here. I really did not like that part right there that I just painted, like the right side of his ear. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to fix your mistake. So that's why I say just go for it. You can always fix it. There's always a solution. And hey, it's just crafting, right? So just have fun. So all I did was just use my heat gun to go ahead and heat up that area of hot glue. And then I'm going to use my scraper tool to scrape it off. I'm going to wipe it down and then just simply redo it. And that's how easy it was to fix this. Now you can see that there's like a little gap right there at the bottom, like where his mouth is. So I went ahead and filled that in with more hot glue. I figured while I was at it, I should just add more. So I was able to somewhat add a second layer, I guess. I guess I did. And then after all that was dried, I went ahead and painted over it again with that silver lining. Then the last thing I have to do is write his name right above the tombstone. And for this, I'm just using a Sharpie. Now, I'm not pushing down a lot because I do want it to be kind of faint. But I did start in the middle with the E and the R and then added the Z and the O. And that was it to Zero's tombstone. All right, now moving on to DIY number 5, and this was so easy. So I'm starting off with this mirror that I've had in my stash for ages, and I thought that this would be perfect in a Nightmare Before Christmas bathroom or just for decor in general. So then I went ahead and the sticker. Why? Why must they put it right on the glass? You can see that I'm literally saying that. So after I finally got it all peeled up, I went ahead and took my Windex and I'm going to clean off the surface. And then I took this pack of gel window clings that I got from Spirit Halloween, and I'm going to be using the This Is Halloween cling for this project. And then I just figure I can put like the other ones on a mirror or something in the bathroom. So at first I went ahead and stuck it down in the middle, and then I moved on to the metallic paint, and I'm just gonna dab this all over the mirror. Then I decided I kind of wanted it to look a little foggy, so I'm gonna go ahead in the middle of the mirror too, and to do that I easily was just able to lift it up, and then I'm gonna put it on. Now I did dab over the window cling itself too, so it wasn't so bold, and I think that looks so cool. Now, as one final touch, I simply just hot glued this spider to the bottom left-hand corner, and that's it to this DIY. I told you it was super easy and took like 5 minutes to do, not even, but I absolutely love the look that that silver metallic paint gives when you dab it over like something black like this. I think it looks so creepy. All right, for our sixth and final DIY, I'm going to start off with this Blackboard, and this was actually from like that board that has like the pumpkin on it, but I went ahead and cut the top off for another DIY and then did not end up using it. Okay, now this you can skip because I thought it would make more of a impact, but it didn't, so just skip that step. But what I definitely wanted to do was to make this look worn and aged, and so what I'm going to do is take my sand block and I am really going to sand down these edges. What you want to do is bring through that MDF board just like that, and so I did this all around my board. Next, I'm going to take some white paint and a small paintbrush, and I am just going to dry brush some white paint all over this sign. Now, you want to make sure that you use a light hand with this, and you really want to dab it off before you start painting, and definitely go in one direction. Then I took a wipe and just kind of wiped it down too to make it not so bright, and this was exactly the look I was going for. So these next steps, it's going to be a lot of painting, but it was a lot of fun, and this is my favorite project besides those jars out of all these DIYs. So just stay with me. I know it might look intimidating, but I promise this was so easy. So I took this container. It was the perfect round circle, and I'm just going to trace it on one side, the right side of my board. Then I'm going to make a yellow and orange mixture, and you want it to be more yellowy than orange. And then I'm simply going to paint my circle. Now, I used this brush because it was so easy for me to like outline and then paint the inside, but I gave this several coats because I wanted this to be completely covered. Now it looks like a moon, right? Now I'm going to take my pencil, and it's going to be kind of hard to see here, but when I outline it with the marker, it'll be more obvious. But I'm just going to create that scene, like that mountain scene that Jack and Sally stand on top of at the end of the movie, and like where Jack goes sometimes. And again, I am just looking at a picture and copying it. And sorry about all my hair, my frizzy hair. Clearly I didn't do it that day in the shot, my bad, and my forehead. So then I'm going to take my marker, and here you can see it a lot better. I'm just following my pencil marks. And then for that mountain, you want to make like that, what do I want to say, like that curve? You know what I'm talking about. If you're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, you know exactly the scene I am talking about. So then I'm just going to go ahead and outline this hill. Next, I'm going to go in with my black paint and just paint everything I just outlined. And I am going to paint like the little humps of the hill too. That way it is black and bold. And I do go in with a smaller paintbrush to get the little curve there of the hill. Now, it doesn't look like it here, but it was a little too orangey for me. So to add some dimension and to lighten it up, I did go ahead and take a small paintbrush, and I am just simply going to put some yellow paint around my moon. Now, my paintbrush accidentally had some black in it, and at first I was like, oh no, but then I used my finger to kind of wipe it up, and I really loved the look it gave. So, you know, because the moon's not like a perfect color. So I just went ahead and put some highlighting in there and just kind of used my imagination. Like I said, this is all you. It's what you want to do, and just get creative. Next, I took my Sharpie and I'm just drawing some lines on the hills because in the photo I was looking at, it looked like a fence. Now, the lines, I am purposely not drawing even. I'm kind of slanting them. I'm drawing like wood out of them or sticks out of them. So, again, just get creative. And how easy is this? Basically, we drew a circle, we drew a little hill, and then some lines. See? So, it's actually pretty easy. So now I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to do the bar for the fence. And I wish I would have just stuck with the one, but then I do go and add a second one because that's what the picture had. And I am such a visual person. I feel like I can recreate things if I have like a picture in front of me or a visual of it. I feel like I'm really good at doing that. Sometimes I get lost though when I have to, create something myself. Next on my Cricut, I cut out Welcome to Halloween Town. Now this font I actually purchased from Etsy. I will leave the link in the description box below. It was like $1.25 or something. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in the middle of my sign. Next, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I am going to just get a little bit of orange paint and I'm just going to draw some circles. Now, in the picture that I was looking at, these are pumpkins, but they were kind of wonky. So that's why I'm kind of doing like weird ovals, circles. Sometimes there were two next to each other. In one part, there were two spread out. But again, just use your imagination. Now, I did color these in with a few coats, but if some of that black showed through, I was okay with it because, again, these are spooky pumpkins. All right, so after I was done with the pumpkins, I'm going to take this little skinny paintbrush. I'm going to dip it in that silver lining, and I am going to outline the hill part. Not the part that goes into the moon though, just this bottom part and on the end. You'll see. But I just felt like it needed some highlighting there, and I felt like it just needed to be more obvious, I guess. Then I'm going to take that silver lining and I'm just going to draw a cross, and then I'm going to draw a tombstone. And again, I'm just looking at a picture and just drawing what I see. Now, to kind of dull down the words a little bit or make them so they're not so bright, I just went ahead and dry brushed that silver paint over my letters. So now we're going to go ahead and finish the pumpkins. I'm going to take my fine point Sharpie and I'm just going to make faces. And some of the eyes are wonky, some of the mouths are wonky. I just basically, just was creative with it. I don't know how many times I can say that, but honestly, that's just this whole video. I just used my imagination. I looked at the photo, tried to copy it, and just had fun with it. I tried not to overthink it. I kind of felt like the cross and the tombstone needed some more dimension, so I'm just dry brushing some black paint. And then you're going to see that I actually do add another cross, and I just did that again by using that silver lining and then adding dimension by adding the black. The last thing I had to do for this sign was add a hanger, and I just used some twine, a lot of hot glue, and I even added some duct tape, so I was for sure that the hanger was not going to be falling off. And that's it. For someone who is not an artist, this was extremely easy and fun to make. Was it a little time consuming? Yeah. But was it completely worth it? Absolutely. So after this sign is done, that completes all of my DIYs, and here's the final reveal. Oh my goodness, am I obsessed with all of these DIYs. Like I said, I definitely think my two favorite are the Halloween Town sign and the ingredient bottles or the jars, but I love them all. You're gonna have to let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite, and don't forget to comment and let me know what your favorite Halloween movie is. If it's Hocus Pocus, a few years ago I did make a whole video of tiered tray Hocus Pocus DIYs, so definitely make sure to check that out. If you missed my last video, I made 5 Halloween DIYs, and I'm hoping, my fingers are literally crossed right now, I'm hoping to get out one more DIY video for Halloween. But if you want to see my bathroom all decorated for Nightmare Before Christmas, you're gonna have to head down to that description box and go over to my other channel, Life with Ash, and turn on those notifications. All of my decorating and behind the scene content is over there. It's more vlog style, like I said. So I really hope that you'll join me and hang out with me on Life with Ash. But I want to thank you so much for clicking on my video today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. It truly will help my channel to grow. Turn on those notifications for this channel too, because we have a lot more DIY fun coming up as we enter the spooky season and holiday season. And I know you're not going to want to miss it. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. And I guess I'll craft with you soon. Bye!